Hello guys, LifeHackster here. Today, let's dive in on the Argus series of battery-powered Wi-Fi cameras from Reolink. Because I can tell you, it is a bit confusing on which one to choose. And there's definitely some overlap as to features on some of the models. I remember the time that the Argus is just a one-model camera when it first started. Now they have 12 models in this series. Well, actually 13 at this time of filming. They have a new release, the Argus 3E, to add to the mix. And probably 7 of them that I have tested. So in this video, we'll try to find out what are the differences of each aside from the obvious, and which one would work for your home security camera needs. I'll also tell you which ones I'll pick depending on the features that I want. By the way, this is a sponsored video by Reolink. So thank you Reolink for sponsoring this video. First, let's break down these cameras based on what they do. We have the regular static single lens ones, and this category has the most overlap of features. We have the Argus Eco models, bullet type design starting with the regular Argus Eco with a 3 megapixel sensor. Then we have the Argus Eco Pro, 5 megapixels, and the Argus Eco Ultra, which is recording in 4K. Now don't confuse the Eco name to mean cheaper because this Eco series overlaps feature-wise with the Argus 3 series. And the main difference is the design. And the Argus 3 lineup starts with the new Argus 3E, and this model is the cheapest battery camera from Reolink. I haven't tested this model out yet, but looking at its features, it is cheaper than the Argus Eco. But it has more features like a spotlight and animal detection. Then we have the Argus 3 Pro, 4 megapixels, and the Argus 3 Ultra, which also records in 4K. Because these are static cameras, here is the comparison of their diagonal field of views. I did make a comparison video between the Argus Eco Ultra and the Argus 3 Ultra a while back, and I will link it down below if you haven't seen it yet. And as far as I remember, there's really no difference as to their performance. Next, we have the pan and tilt category, where you can move the camera's position from the app. And we have the Argus PT series. So these cameras can pan and tilt, except they don't have motion tracking. And it starts with the PT Lite, which has no spotlight and has a 3 megapixel sensor. Then we just have the Argus PT, which has a 5 megapixel sensor, and the Argus PT Ultra, which has a 4K or 8 megapixel sensor. If you want a pan and tilt camera that has motion tracking, there's actually only 2 models in the Argus lineup that you can choose from. We have the Argus Track, and aside from being able to track, it has dual lens, but one lens is a zoom, like the Reolink's Track Mix, but smaller. And like the PT series, it is pan and tilt, well, it's just limited in tilt. It records in 4K on its wide lens and 1080p on the zoomed one. And we have the Reolink Altus PT Ultra, and not sure why it is in the Argus lineup because it doesn't have Argus in its name. And this is the flagship battery camera of Reolink, and this is also my favorite because it has a feature that no other battery cams that I've tested have, and that is that it can record continuously and also has pre-recording. This Altus can perform like a wired or plugged-in camera. By the way, I will link my review videos of the Argus models that I've tested, including this Altus, in the description down below if you want to know more about its features and its performance. Then we have the 2-lens panoramic cameras, the Argus 4 series. This is actually my second favorite. These are dual lens cameras that the footage is stitched in, giving you a 180-degree horizontal field of view. It does the work of 2 cameras in a one compact camera body. We have the Argus 4 Pro, which has the Color X low light sensor with spotlights. And the lower version is just the Argus 4, which has a regular sensor but also has infrared lights aside from the spotlights. So in this one, you just have to decide if you like the low light Color X footage. Now I'll tell you the features that all these Reolink Argus cameras have. First, they all have built-in rechargeable, not removable batteries, and can be plugged into Reolink solar panels so as to minimize or eliminate recharging. All of them will have person and vehicle detection. As to animal detection though, there's 3 of them that doesn't support it at this time anyways. We have the Argus PT Lite, the Argus Eco, and the Argus 3 Pro. Funny thing is that the new and cheaper Argus 3E has animal detection, while the Argus 3 Pro and the Eco doesn't. So if you want a camera that also can detect animals, be aware of these models. This can change though because animal detection is just a software update. All of these cameras record locally. You will have a micro SD card slot on the camera themselves. They're compatible to up to a 512GB card except for these models. We have the Argus Eco, the Argus Eco Pro, the Argus PT Lite, the Argus PT, Argus 3E, and the Argus 3 Pro. They are only compatible to up to a 128GB card. They can also be added to the Reolink Home Hub to safeguard your recordings. But if you have the older versions of these cameras, the firmware might need to be updated, or Reolink still evaluating if it can be added. Newly released models though are compatible, including this Argus 3E. Now these are wireless cameras and uses Wi-Fi to connect to your network or to Reolink's Home Hub. There's a few that can only connect to 2.4 GHz network, mostly the lower models like the Argus Eco, the Argus 3E, and the Argus PT Lite. The rest can connect to dual-band Wi-Fi, 2.4 or 5 GHz. And a few are Wi-Fi 6 compatible like the Altus PT Ultra, the Argus 4 Pro, and the Argus 4. So if you're eyeing a battery-powered Wi-Fi camera from Reolink and looking at the Argus lineup, first decide if you want a static regular camera, and you have 6 models to choose from. They have different price points but not a lot of difference on the features. If you want a pan and tilt one and not really wanting to use the tracking feature, you can choose from the Argus PT lineup. But I think most of you will want a pan and tilt camera that also can track. So you only have the Argus Track or the Altus PT Ultra to choose from. Well, you also actually have to take a look at the Reolink TrackMix battery. It is not in the Argus series, but it is an option. The TrackMix also has 2 lenses and a bigger footprint though. If you want a camera that has a wider panoramic field of view, we have the Argus 4 series and also the Reolink Duo 2 to choose from, which is also separate from the Argus lineup and also has a bigger footprint than the Argus 4. So what are my personal picks? For the static one lens one, I'll most likely go with the Argus Eco Ultra. And this is just because I can install this under the eaves without purchasing a separate mount. But for the price to features, the Argus 3E looks pretty promising. For pan and tilt, I'll skip the Argus PT series and save up for the Altus PT Ultra. This will outperform all other battery-powered cameras out there, especially when set with pre-recording on. And Reolink is improving this to make it a continuous 24/7 recording camera. I know they have a 12-watt solar panel that will help in achieving that. And for the panoramic view, I'll go with the Argus 4 Pro. And most likely will choose this if I want to monitor a wider area of our property than buying 2 static regular cams. I'm hoping this video is helpful, and I'm not sure if Reolink will streamline or thin out their offerings for battery-powered cams in the future. But for now, we have a lot to choose from. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.